Welcome back to the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show. We are broadcasting live from Carson Sports Grill in downtown Maryville, and Amy Woerth joins us, the head coach of the Northwest Women's Volleyball team. And Amy, how nice is it to finally get a chance to have a couple home matches this weekend?
There's no place like home from the standpoint of being here, so for sure we're excited.
Boy, when you look at your schedule up to this particular point on the road, not only have you been on the road, but you've really had some very tough matches against some very good schools up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of my thought process is to schedule tough and be challenged, and we want to be our best at the end of the season. So, I mean, I believe what I had looked at from last year, there was 5 teams that we played so far that have been ranked in the region. And I think it's been a great experience for us is really what I think it has done for us. It's to challenge us and to step up and continue to make the best team out of those challenges.
And when you talk about the challenge, what's been the biggest challenge that you've seen as far as going up against these schools up to this point?
I think it's just being in different lineups and feeling a flow. We're still, trying to find that, and we've had some moments of it, but trying to find that consistent flow is really our goal. Last year, it was, we found that pretty quickly, but every year is different. So we're just focusing on trying to find the right mix that works the best together.
And from a travel standpoint, that's not easy to do. That's not an easy trip from Warrensburg to get over to St. Charles.
No, it's 3 hours. We got up the next morning, stayed in Warrensburg and got up the next morning and traveled the rest of the way down. I think there was a Mizzou football game, so it's kind of hard to get a hotel room further down on I-70. So I thought the girls handled the travel well. We don't know any different. So it was great to see them be able to do that.
I know the travel was a little bit different with some of those tournaments you opened up the season with, but you had to travel some considerable distances for some of those. Did that help out a little bit on making this trip maybe seem a little bit shorter?
Yeah, I mean, they've been challenged. So this was just another challenge. And the opposite thought process is we could really build ourselves from the standpoint of going to tournaments where we know we're going to win. But I don't think that's really it would help your confidence, but I think it's a false confidence in this conference. We need to be able to understand how to fight together. And if we're not going to be challenged in that preseason, pre-conference part of our season, then I think I'm setting them up for failure. So it was great to see them be able to take that on and not have any stress with it. Obviously, we'd like to see them perform better against UCM. But I think there were some lessons that we could learn from that, taking away, and then, like I said, bouncing back from that piece and being able to do all that on the same day with going over to Lindenwood and have our heads on right and still be hungry, even though we didn't play very well the night before, I think goes to show to our leadership, as they're growing and finding their way.
Well, Tuesday night, a short trip down to St. Joseph to face Missouri Western. Just talk a little bit about that match.
We could not match them when it came to their ball control and their offense. They came out, and we had a very hard time disrupting them being in system. And so when a team is in system and everything's running you at once, you can do that for a little while. You can defend, and you can, if you get your offense and you can balance back by having an offense that is on all cylinders right back at them, then that's a balance you create. Unfortunately for us, we couldn't get an offense going. So essentially what happened the whole night is we took a lot of balls and we played a lot of defense, giving them a lot of free balls, opportunities where they could take an easy ball and put it away again. So it was kind of like Groundhog Day, and what helps that piece is your serving piece, and you have to get them out of system. And we didn't do a good enough job to get them out of system. And I thought position for position, they were better that night. Their lefts passed a lot better than our lefts did. So from the standpoint of our lineup, it's just continuing to try to find that lineup that's going to work without getting too many gray hairs throughout the season. But I know it's out there. I know our players, what we've been talking to them about is focusing on the team chemistry and focusing on the process, because this is all going to play out in the end. This team is very talented, and the story has still an ending that we're going to, figure out. So I just want them to continue to work hard and get better every day. And when Missouri Western comes back to our place at the later piece of the season, we're gonna be ready.
Well, you've got a good opportunity this weekend. Southwest Baptist, Missouri Southern come in for the first home matches of the year. Let's just talk about tomorrow night in SBU.
I just think one of the nice things being at Missouri Western watching them was that they definitely felt home. They felt comfortable. So I'm excited to see our girls feel that comfort with being in a place that we practice every single day. Two, I'm excited to be able to continue to evolve and put a lineup out there and see how it does. I'm excited to see as we grow and continue to get better, if they're going to, do our core covenants and the things that we want to be about. So that's really what we're focusing on, is just we have another chance to do the process right.
And then on Saturday afternoon, Missouri Southern.
Yeah, Missouri Southern started out pretty well this year, and they played Southwest Baptist and swept them. So, based on what we're seeing on film, they are improved. And, again, it's just going to be fun to see our players play back-to-back at home and be able to get some fans there, be able to have some of that spirit, energy that we can ride on. So excited for the weekend, excited to see continued improving, performance improving the whole entire season. So,
boy, when you talk about that excitement at home, last year, if you just build on what you had last year, that was a fun place to be. A lot of people have really planned their nights around into volleyball because it was a happening place. Yeah,
it was amazing to see the backing, of the university, the backing of people in town. They were very interested to see what we were going to do, and I know that we got fans because of that. As far as this season, it's going to be fun to be able to continue to build that fan base and get more and more people, students especially, to get excited about our team and just play a style of volleyball like we like to, that's fun and exciting.
Now we've got coming up next, Olivia Nowakowski coming up. Just talk a little bit about her and what she's meant to your program.
Olivia's a workhorse. When you're a libero, you do a lot. Liberos have so much ball control in them. That's their job. They don't ever get to hit, and all they can do is to help. And so when you have people in those positions, that is usually the most selfless player out there. Someone who wants to actually be hit at continually all night and receive balls that might be coming 56 miles an hour. You have to be a pretty special person inside to be able to want to have that, happen and to still get up and just be hungry. And so for her, she has that attitude. Like, she's one of the most selfless people on our team. Her energy is infectious, and she just works her tail off. And we were in a great position last year because of everything she did, and she's going to build upon that, as her years go. She's a junior this year, and, we just expect her to improve every day. But she is the heart of our team when it comes to just the work ethic and what makes us go.
All right. Well, Amy, thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We've got a lot coming up on the KXCV Bearcat Coaches Show right after this timeout from Carson Sports Grill in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back into the KXCV Bearcat Coaches Show here from Carson Sports Grill, downtown Maryville, talking Northwest Missouri State football now with senior safety Eddie Richey. Eddie, appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm curious the background. Are you a dog guy or cat guy first?
I've been a cat guy for a while, but dogs are slowly growing on me. Just mainly little dogs, not really big dogs. Yeah.
I only say that because for those that are listening, not watching, cats all over their shirt tonight. I don't know if that was a Bearcat thing or you just felt like rolling with it today.
It was just the first shirt I grabbed off my floor.
Well, you know what? When you're number one in the nation, the best defense in the nation, you can do whatever you want. Talk to me about these first 4 games. 14 points allowed, all of them coming against Washburn, but it feels like each week out the defense gets better, more confident, stronger each week.
Lately we've just been playing really hard. There's a lot of things that we continue to work on and get better each week. But right now we got guys that are still learning the system a little bit. Guys are flying around each and every play, playing with great effort. I think we're really outplaying our opponents more than anything, and that's a testament to how we've been practicing lately. We can do a lot better executing, but once we start to execute, there's no telling where we can go here from a defense.
And Coach has said, I think going into this season, that you're essentially the coach of that secondary. Like, you can sit down with those guys, get on the marker board, draw stuff up, and walk them through. Where does that come from in your background? Is it their coach in your background, or just something you kind of developed?
It probably had to start with the coach that recruited me here. He was big on the details. He harped on them every single day, so I kind of got it instilled into me a little bit. But just from high school and everything, I've always been a film room guy. I feel like that's where most of the plays get made before you even go out there, is on the film room. And just playing DB is just, if you can watch as much film and you can anticipate things, it allows you to play a lot faster. So I try to get the younger guys to understand that and kind of help pass that down to the younger guys.
And how has that come along, especially whenever you're working with guys last year and the last couple of years, like Kevin Berg and Jack Young, guys that seem like you were pretty tight with throughout? Did it feel like kind of a passing of the torch? Those guys leave, you take a step up and become that coach at safety.
Yeah, man, me and Kevin and Jack, we were all really good friends, so football was basically mostly everything we always talked about. So we would just kind of be hanging out, watching film, kind of see what each other saw through different lenses. He would show me how he watched film. I kind of show him how I watch film. And we just kind of started to put it together. And I knew that a lot of people looked up to those guys, so I was kind of trying to follow in their footsteps. I knew once they leave that I was going to kind of have to take over, so I was just ready to step up into that role. And those guys did a great job of helping me do that. My coach has done a great job of helping me transition into that leadership role. So I have to give a lot of credit to those guys.
Now, I hate to compare years, but you've been a part of both of them. When you look at last year, now this year with Marcus Jones and Anthony Lane, yourself, Jack Richards, Jacob Gassman, a lot of extreme athletes back there. I don't know what you see from your side, but I don't see too much of anything getting completed from where I'm at.
I mean, those guys, they just done a great job of competing each and every day. One of our goals this year was to just kind of be, we know we're going to have different keys in different places, but like Coach Wright always said, that if we can be better what we were last year, this year, then we have a chance. And from those guys, Jack stepping up huge, from a guy who's just been constantly working hard since he's been here, people are finally starting to see that pay dividends for him. And a guy like Marcus coming back from an injury as well, just to see the way he's battled throughout the fall and the summer. Those guys just keep working super hard, and you're seeing the way that it's playing on Saturdays for them.
This week, heading to Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, taking on Central Missouri. What's it like not only playing a rival where the Chiefs play, but just stepping foot into an NFL stadium and suiting up?
Just playing at that venue last year, the atmosphere was crazy. Bearcat Nation, they showed out full force like they always do. I mean, it's just a great experience. I mean, not too many schools, especially Division II schools, can even play at a different venue, and let alone an NFL stadium. So it's very humbling experience. Our guys, we love it. We love to travel there. The hospitality there is amazing. Everything about that entire venue is just great.
Well, hopefully next year we'll see you guarding Jeremy Macklin in the next league.
Yes, sir. That sounds fun.
That's Eddie Richey, Northwest Missouri State defensive back, joining us here on the KXCV Bearcat Coaches Show. Eddie, we appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
That's Eddie Richey joining us here, KXCV Bearcat Coaches Show. We'll take a break. Be back with the head football coach, Rich Wright, here on KXCV.
Welcome back to the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show. As we continue on and continue to talk football, we're joined by the head coach of the Bearcat football team, Rich Wright. And Rich, your offense got things rolling a little bit last week.
It was a lot of fun. I got to spend most of the day running up and down the sidelines, being a cheerleader, drinking Gatorade, hanging out with my defensive guys. It was really a pretty good day for us. I think we only played 50 snaps, so I certainly enjoyed watching those guys do work.
Really felt like that offensive line set the tone from the opening snap.
They did. They played really well together. They were physical. They were decisive. It didn't matter whether it was against the run or against the pass. They were creating seams, and it was just exciting.
Talking with you after the game, you just felt like it was just a complete game on all phases for your squad.
For the first time all year, I felt like we came out and we were relaxed and we were loose. We were ready to play. There's obviously something about playing in Maryville and at Bearcat Stadium. It was family day. There was a charge. You could feel it in pregame, and our kids were ready. Our kids had a great week of practice. They dotted the I's and crossed the T's, so to speak, and they went out and they executed. They played well, and that was the fun part for me to see. It really had less to do with Missouri Southern and more to do with how our kids played throughout the game. And they came out fast. We got ahead. We got up. We were able to play substitutes, and when those substitutes were in, they executed at a high level. So it was a complete game.
Seeing the offense go out there and punch the other team in the mouth, was that kind of one of those things like, yeah, it's going to be a good day?
Yeah, I got to rethink my thoughts. First of all, I was mad at everybody because everybody's calling. I like tails never fails, and Southern called that, so we lost the toss and got the ball, and that just has me all thrown off. But the offense goes right down the field and scores. They did a great job. It's it doesn't really matter to us which side of the ball goes first. It's just let's go out and play fast and play our style, and they came out executing.
Made a couple changes offensively going into that game, taking the red shirt off of Jordan Thompson at running back, and then also moving Jaravian Anderson from defense to offense and running him out of the Wildcat some on Saturday. Just talk about what that really did to maybe liven up the offense just a little bit.
Well, I think the dynamic Jordan brings is he brings an explosiveness to the tailback position. He's got great footwork. He's an exciting young player. And with the injury to Cam and the fact that he was going to be out the rest of the year, plus the fact we didn't have Emmanuel, we just felt like it was time to make the move. And he doesn't have to shoulder the entire burden, but he can certainly be a change of pace and did a fantastic job. The offensive coaches did a good job with him. They didn't overwhelm him with the playbook. We kept things relatively simple, and he went in and he executed, and it was fun to watch him. He came off the side a couple times with a big smile on his face, and it was enjoyable.
Does he draw any comparisons in your mind when you think back to other Bearcat running backs through the years?
That's an interesting question. Not guys that immediately, like I always think of, and maybe generationally it is for me, but I think of LaRon and Xavier. He's a little different than both. He's more explosive than LaRon, and he's not as big as Xavier, but he's a slasher. I think he does a great job sticking his foot in the ground and changing directions. I got asked a lot in the post-game press conference, how in the world did you figure out that kid could run the ball? I'm like, duh, guys. I watched him every day for 3 weeks behind a scout team offensive line, and there weren't a whole lot of holes for him to run in. And he was physical. He had a little bit of a toughness and an edge to him. I think that has to do with where he came from. He comes from a very successful high school football program, and we knew he wouldn't shy away from the stage. But to give him an opportunity to play against Missouri Southern in front of a friendly crowd, I felt like was important before we moved forward. So I felt like that was good.
And Jaravian Anderson, what's he bring to the offense by moving him over from the defensive side there?
Well, Ray, we just scratched the surface with him. He's another guy that we were able to get introduced. Ray was a high school quarterback. We had thought about doing this all along. We just, didn't feel it was time, and just kind of felt like moving forward that it was something that he could do to add a dynamic to our offense we didn't have. And he did a couple nice things. We jumped off sides about 4 times, so we've got to get that fixed this week. But moving forward, I think what we can do is expand our package with him, and he's another athlete that we can put out on the field to distribute the ball to.
Missouri Southern came out, and they have some athletes. They hung with Emporia State, and they finished with just 69 total yards against you guys. Your thoughts on the complete defensive effort, not only keeping them to negative 43 rushing yards, but even when he had time to pass, nothing there.
We, it really kind of starts trying to make people one-dimensional. And, the biggest thing that we had seen on film, they were having some success in the vertical running game. They were spreading people out and getting the ball run vertically. And what we tried to do is delete it. We want to make you one-dimensional. And if we can do that, then we feel like we can attack. And we were able to do that, get them out of what they wanted to do offensively. And if we can get the ball bounced, we run pretty good on defense. And we hustle. We have good depth, so we can play a lot of people. And we're able to execute at a pretty high level. if we can get you down to predictable down and distances and let our guys pin our ears back and get aggressive with our coverage, it usually spells a pretty good recipe for the Bearcats, and that's what happened Saturday.
We talked about this at the outset of the show, but with the defense, only giving up 3.5 points per game. That's just an unheard of stat 4 weeks into a season.
Yeah, it is. But I have a feeling we'll get tested a little bit this week, so I'll just yeah, it's good for 4 weeks in.
Eddie touched on it a little bit earlier too, but Arrowhead Stadium, it's kind of like being at home again.
It is. We talked about it this week at practice. It's first of all an incredible venue to play in. Bearcat Nation's going to roll deep. With all the ties we have to Kansas City and all the years that we've played in that game, I think we'll have a phenomenal crowd, and it's just it's an incredible environment for a Division II college football player to play in, and it's just fun. It's incredible to watch our kids go out there for the first time. I can't wait to get there tomorrow night. The players that have never been to Arrowhead Stadium before, and you grow up here in the Midwest, and particularly in this area, and it's pretty ingrained to be a Chiefs fan, and so to actually be on the field and walking around is a pretty cool experience for them.
4 weeks in now, how would you assess where this team is with 4 games under your belt?
I think we're trending in the right direction. I think we're getting better each and every week. I think we're gaining confidence. We're starting to create an identity for ourselves and figure out who we are. We've got some new guys that are starting to emerge and take over in leadership roles, and any good football team has to have that. I think we're going to get tested this week, and you need that too. It's going to be 2 great MIAA football teams squaring off in a phenomenal venue, and when you play college football, you want to measure yourself against the best, so it should be fun.
Your team's overall depth, you've gone through some injuries, you've had guys step up, you're going to get some of those guys back. Is the depth almost better than what you thought it might be going into this year?
Yes, it is, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I think that one of the things that I was worried about was our depth up front, and it's kind of it's come full circle. I mean, a lot of those guys having to play snaps early has really helped us, and I think it will continue to help us moving forward. And we just have a lot of guys that have played a ton of football games here, and I think it definitely helps. So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. When you've been here as long as I have, you remember the 2006 team and how good that team was, and you're like, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to replace those guys? And all of a sudden in 2007 we go back and play for a national championship, and it's just kind of it really is next man up, and it's our kids, because they have such a big heart factor and care so much about each other. Somebody always rises, and it's just the fun part is figuring out who that's going to be.
Well, Rich, good to have you with us on the show tonight, and have fun on Saturday.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we've got a big game coming up Saturday, Northwest and Central Missouri. Always a fun matchup with those 2 schools, but a little bit more so now as those games have migrated to Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, it always seemed like it was a pretty good matchup regardless, a good rivalry game no matter where it was played. I go back to 2010 when I was a senior back in college, and Todd Adolph kicked the field goal at the time expiring, and the Bearcats won it in Warrensburg, and the team rushed the field. Just those little memories of always finding ways to beat the Mules was always pretty fun. So now to see this game at Arrowhead for the 2nd straight year, it should be a lot of fun. And really, the proximity they are to Arrowhead Stadium, obviously the alumni base for the Bearcats and everybody traveling up from Maryville, it should be a great environment.
And we'll have that broadcast on KXCV Maryville, KRNW Chillicothe, beginning at 3 o'clock with Bearcat Game Day before the 4 o'clock kickoff from Arrowhead Stadium. Again, thanks to everyone involved with our program here tonight. Coach Rich Wright, along with Edward Richey on the football team, and volleyball head coach Amy Woerth, and also Olivia Nowakowski as they were on our program for this evening. We'll be back with you again next Thursday night, 6 o'clock, for the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show.